I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do as a writer. I never set out to be a writer. I grew up on a dairy farm, grew up milking cows, and I worked on a ranch in Wyoming riding horses, and then I went to college to be a nurse. I have a nursing degree. I can work in the hospital if I want to or have to. I have my license. I renew it every 2 years. But I very accidentally got involved in writing, and I got involved in writing because I loved books. Ever since I was tiny, I loved. A lot of the famous writers from the old days were old men, and they would sit in a tiny little room writing, thinking deep thoughts. Well, guess what? I am kind of old. I do sit all alone in a tiny little room, only my room is right over the top of my garage. And I sit there all alone, and I try to think deep thoughts, although usually if I try to think a deep thought, I get kind of a ice cream headache pain, or what we used to call a hog pain. Take my work anywhere. My office is very, very portable. So I love my little room above the garage. It's my favorite place to write. This is one of my favorite possessions ever. I wrote a book about my hometown, and I love my hometown.
It's a very,
yeah, it's a very,
population of 385 or something?
you're very close, you bet. And so that's a place that I really like, and my neighbors gave me the old sign when they changed the population, and so I love to have that up. And I have just little mementos. This is something that my grandfather carried during World War II, and he was in the Pacific, and here's a picture of Johnny Cash, and here's a coaster from the joint, and that's one for the grown-ups, and then some local art. But this is my desk now, which means while I'm writing, I'm walking, standing on a treadmill. And I don't like that thing at all, but it's kind of, I think, added a couple of years to my life. So I stand there, I set it at 2.2 miles an hour. That's my best writing speed. And then you can see my computer and my big screen, and that's most of what I write is nonfiction. That means I write about real people and real things and do my best to get all the facts straight. One of the fun things about writing The Scavengers is I got to make it all up. It came out of my head. Build his own canon. So when it came time to create a character like Toad, I was in some ways thinking of Tom, because Tom is like beef jerky and legs. There's not an ounce of fat on him. He's very energetic, he's very knowledgeable, and he has a lot of opinions, just like Toad has a lot of opinions, and sometimes Maggie doesn't always agree with his opinions, does she? So this is an example of taking someone from real life and using them to create. Monocle has one eye for a pretty simple reason. I just wanted to have a one-eyed dog named Monocle. The question was, how long did it take me to write this book? And people always want to know, how long did it take you to write the book? This book I worked on, the idea, I came up with the idea over 5 years ago. It took me 3 years to actually finish the book once I started. But that's because I'm always working on many different things at once. I choose the car Ford Falcon. 2 reasons. One, growing up, we had a Ford Falcon station wagon. And I have a lot of memories about hiding out in there. I used to go there on summer days and hunker down, and I felt like I was all alone. It was my clubhouse. So those feelings that Maggie has are right from me in my childhood. The other reason is I like the name Ford Falcon. It just occurred to me each of those words has more than one. I'll be the first to let you know. So everybody hopes so, but the odds of your book getting made into a movie are super tiny. What they call option, which means a movie company comes to you and says, hey, we'd like to make your book into a movie. And you sign a deal with them and they pay you a little money. And you get very, very excited the first time it happens. You tell all your friends, you go, my book has been optioned by a film company and they're going to make it into a movie. And then nothing happens. And most of the time that's first class who has ever had Earl Grey tea while I talk. So this is really great. That was a great